Loki Season 2. I wasn't the biggest fan of Loki, so I'm not super excited for Loki Season 2, but I know we're getting one, so I'm hoping that for this one we kind of see more of an explanation of, I guess, the consequences of killing He Who Remains and then the timeline kind of splitting up. Just get more explanation of the multiverse. Was it really bad that we split up the timeline into all these multiverses and all these branch universes and everything, when clearly there's already a multiverse established in Multiverse of Madness? So it's like, okay, did we create the multiverse in Loki, or was it already there? And maybe like these are all the variant universes where different versions of these characters from these multiverses appear. I guess that's just the confusing aspect of Loki, is that like, okay, where did the multiverse start? Who created it? Was it Loki who did it after Sylvie killed He Remains? So I hope they kind of tie that in a little bit more. Kind of like Phase 4, that just didn't really seem like there was like a lot of connective tissue. There wasn't really a through line. There wasn't really like a focal point of like where the multiverse starts and how it spreads out and everything. So yeah, I really hope they kind of just explain that a little bit more. Who knows, maybe Loki Season 2 will just be a fresh start, which I guess they're kind of hinting at the end of Season 1, where like nobody knows who Loki is. Mobius and Renslayer and all them, they kind of like lost their memories of Loki and everything. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Maybe they realize like, oh shoot, we kind of already explained that there's already a multiverse in Multiverse of Madness, so we kind of have to like retcon it in a way and kind of start everything over. So hopefully they talk about that a little bit more, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I guess something I hope to see more is like just more explanation of the TVA, the people who work in it. You know, obviously they're bringing in different actors and everything. The actor who played like Short Round in Indiana Jones is going to be in it. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool if he's like, you know, this new character that kind of teams up with Loki, and I think he's supposed to be some kind of like analyst character or something. So maybe we'll get more explanation of like who the TVA is, what they do, you know, like their history throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just get more explanation really of like what's going on. Maybe he'll be kind of like the character who explains everything to Loki. You know, maybe he didn't lose his memory, and maybe he and Loki kind of team up, you know, with Mobius and Renslayer and all the Hunter characters, and kind of figure out what's going on. And with Sylvie as well. But yeah, I just hope there's just more tie-ins to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general. You know, maybe they find out about King the Conqueror, and then that's how he kind of gets involved into the Avengers movies, and then maybe Loki becomes an Avenger in a way. That'll be kind of like a cool twist for his character, whereas like in the first Avengers movie, you know, he was obviously the main villain, and now in this movie, if he ends up being in Kang Dynasty, you know, he's actually one of the Avengers and actually helps fight alongside them and like defeat Kang, you know, since he's partially responsible for He Remains being killed and then the multiverse splitting up and Kang in a way kind of rising to power and everything with his variant. Yeah, I think that'd be a really cool tie-in for Loki's character. And yeah, I think this would be a really cool opportunity to kind of give more backstory to He Who Remains / King the Conqueror, since he was first introduced at the end of Season 1 of Loki with He Who Remains, and you know, he was kind of like giving all that exposition to Loki and Sylvie about, you know, the multiverse and him being a conqueror and everything. If there's like a post-credit scene in Loki Season 2 where like Loki meets up with Scott Lang, because we haven't really seen those two together. Like, I guess we kind of technically saw them in Endgame in a way where this whole thing started, where Loki got the Tesseract and then teleported to the desert, and then that's where Loki kind of went off from there. So that was kind of like their only interaction. But yeah, to see more of that tie-in together where like Loki has all this information, and Sylvie too, it'd be cool to see those characters all kind of meet up and start to form the new Avengers in a way to take on Kang, since Scott, Hope, Cassie, Hank, and Janet have been facing Kang in the quantum realm, and then Loki and Sylvie facing He Who Remains in, you know, the TVA and everything like that, to kind of have that crossover and have them kind of exchange like, I know this information, you know that information, so now we can kind of work together to defeat Kang, you know, now that he's out and he's conquering everything. I think that'd be really, really cool to have that sort of tie-in and that sort of connected tissues. So we'll see what happens with that, but I think it'd be really, really exciting if they actually do that. Hey, just jumping in again, I just wanted to address the post-credit scene in Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, where Loki and Mobius actually go back in time to like the early 1900s and go to the expo with Victor Timely, which is one of Kang's variants. And there's like theories going around that the presentation that he had is kind of like setting the stage for the TVA, the Time Variant Agency. Obviously, Loki's like very much in shock. So we'll see how that plays out in Loki Season 2. So I'm actually, kind of excited for that. I'm glad they're finally kind of addressing all the branch timelines problem that they had at the end of Season 1, and they're showing the steps of how they're trying to resolve it. So we'll see. We'll see how this ties in more to Kang Dynasty and Seer Wars, and especially with the other post-credit scene where we see like all the different variants of Kang kind of all assembled together. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm glad that one thing that Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania did right was setting the stage for for the future of Phase 5 and Phase 6. Also, there are rumors that Jonathan Majors' role might be reduced significantly in this series just because of all the allegations of abuse charges and everything. So we'll see what happens. And, speaking of which, now there are rumors that if the charges are actually confirmed, that Jonathan Majors might actually be removed as Kang from the MCU and might be replaced by another actor. So we'll see what happens. Disney's kind of in like an awkward position right now with having, Jonathan Majors being the face of the MCU, being like the brand new villain and everything, setting up Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. So they're definitely going to have some backup plans moving forward, just in case these charges are brought to light and, Jonathan Majors is sent to prison for his accusations and everything. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, hopefully the allegations aren't true and that he's proven innocent, that he can continue to be Kang throughout the rest of the MCU, and that his presence in Loki Season 2 will, continue to be what it is. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens on October 6th. But yeah, that's only the real update with that one. Hey, jumping in. So we actually just got a bunch of updates for Loki Season 2. We finally got a new trailer and it actually looks pretty good. As I said before, I wasn't really the biggest fan of the first season of Loki, but I think this trailer really makes up for it. I think the biggest problem I had with the first season is just that the consequences of Loki and Sylvie killing He Who Remains and having the sacred timeline splitting up, it just wasn't really a lot of repercussions within the greater MCU. So I'm glad in this trailer it really shows the consequences of those actions, especially with the concept of Loki time splitting. They're really picking up hints from like the whole concept of the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse story concept of when you go to another universe, like kind of glitch out and everything because you don't belong there. So that'd be interesting to see in live action. And really love the fact that they have Kiwi Kwan from Everything Everywhere All at Once in this show. And he's kind of playing the same character he does from that movie. So I'm actually, really excited for it. And it looks like after the events of Loki, when Loki comes back to the present, He Remains, or King the Conqueror, is now in power. And Loki really has to find out what's going on and why he's time splitting and going from past to present. And it looks like in the official summary it's going to be about the battle for the soul of the TVA. And that Loki has to team up with Mobius and Hunter B-15 in order to find Sylvie and Renslayer and Miss Minutes. And it looks like they're going to be in a bunch of different timelines. So it looks like she's going to be in a 1982 McDonald's working as a cashier. So I think that'd be kind of interesting. I was reading reports that the showrunners really care about the character of Sylvie, and they were thinking that she's always jumping in between these different timelines and all these different apocalypses. And like, what would she do? Well, she would probably be hungry. So maybe she'd work at a McDonald's. And the fact that McDonald's is kind of like a safe haven for a lot of people and like a lot of like nostalgia for a lot of people, they figure that she'd be working at McDonald's. So that'd be interesting to see how that factors in. And speaking of time periods, I saw in the trailer there's like a couple of clips of the different characters in their different time periods. Like Renslayer was in a Victoria style dress, and Miss Minutes looks like she had a white color and she was kind of growing into like a Stay Puft monster from Ghostbusters or something. So that'd be really interesting. And according to Marvel, it looks like all the cast from season 1 is going to be returning, like Eugene Cordero as Casey and Jonathan Majors as Victor Timely. And I really think it was a smart approach for Marvel to kind of reduce his role in the trailer, especially with all the controversies with the domestic abuse charges. So I don't think anything's really been settled with that whole case. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks we'll get a verdict, and kind of like I said before, I'm hoping that he's proven innocent and that his role as King the Conqueror can continue into Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. So we'll see what happens. And apparently he's supposed to be in half the episodes for Loki Season 2, so we'll see how his role becomes within the show and everything. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. And then as far as new characters, there's an actor named Raphael Castle, and he's playing a character named Brad Wolf, and apparently he's supposed to be a TVA prisoner. And then I guess his variant is an actor who stars in a movie called Zaniac. And then a couple other actors have been cast in undisclosed roles: Kate Dickey, Liz Carr, Neil Ellis as Hunter D90. Hey, just jumping in again. So we actually just got a bunch of new promo videos and featurettes for Loki, and yeah, they actually look pretty exciting. It really shows like the chaos and all the action that's going to be happening during this series. Because like what I've been saying earlier, the problem that I had with Loki Season 1 is that there just didn't really seem to be a lot of consequences after Sylvie killed He Remains and then the Sacred Timeline split up. But with this one, and especially in the featurette, the head writer was saying that right after that we're going to see the consequences of Sylvie's actions. So I'm actually really excited that they confirmed that they're going to address the whole shocking ending that they had at the end of Season 1. And another update with Loki is that it's actually going to be coming out on Thursday, October 5th. And it's kind of a primetime slot at 6 p.m. on the West Coast time. So that's going to be really exciting. I guess they're trying to base it on the model of Ahsoka, because now that show's coming out on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. So hopefully it really shows that they're really confident with this show. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to see it. I think the more that I see with these promo trailers and these featurettes, kind of get me more excited. And yeah, it just looks like a crazy, chaotic show. Obviously, Loki at the center of it all, being the god of mischief. So yeah, we'll see how it is. I think I'm more cautiously optimistic about it. Still not like super excited, but I'm definitely getting there with the excitement level. And yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. But I think, the writers and the directors have really kind of taken the criticism that some people had with Season 1 and really addressed those issues in this new season. So I'm really hoping that they do that with this one. And hopefully this will be an upswing for Disney Plus shows on Marvel, because Secret Invasion was a bit of a disappointment, to put it lightly. So yeah, Marvel really needs a win with their MCU Disney Plus shows, and especially the fact that this is the first season 2 for the MCU for a Disney Plus show, I think is really telling. So I guess it just goes to show like how good Tom Hiddleston is, and Owen Wilson, all these other actors and writers and directors. So yeah, fingers crossed that it's good, and yeah, we'll see what happens with it.